back to the Tailosive Space Podcast. I'm your host, Nick. I don't know what episode this is because I'm still not entirely sure which episode is coming which. But joining with me tonight is DJ, once again, our space-loving fellow nerd who is just so excited about DM-2. How are you feeling about all this, DJ? Like, my heart keeps fluttering while I try to fall asleep.
A little nervous, a little excited. I'm just ready to have it going. Let's get it up there already.
Right? If the candle doesn't light on Wednesday, let's just say I will be a very sad person.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already probably going to be watching a replay of it, depending on if I have work or not, but...
Oh, no.
Yeah. Some people aren't working from home.
Well, I'll definitely be tuning in for the countdown, the final few minutes, but I will also be working. But thankfully, my job is fairly flexible on take 5 minutes and watch, history be made. So that's exciting. I'll make sure not to spoil it for you. It'll be one of those spoiler-free days where you won't know if they died until you watch it.
Oh, yikes. Yeah, luckily, the people that I work with are cool, so we might be able to have it up on a TV that we have in there. Or at least for the actual launch itself.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a pretty big event. Like, think back to never in my lifetime has there been a new American rocket. Like, you have to go back to what, 1981 with the shuttle? Yeah,
I think they started development of the shuttle in like early 70s, and I think they had the first flight in like 78 or something like that. Or
78? Oh,
something like that.
Look this up. The last Apollo was when was the Soyuz? It was the Apollo Soyuz was the last Apollo.
74, I think.
Was that SpaceX
okay, no, the first space shuttle flight was April of 1981.
1981. Okay, cool. I see that April 12th, 1981. STS-1. That's something that is going to kind of irk me looking back in the history books. All of the other things. Apollo 1. Rip the heroes that died in that. Yeah. STS-1. And then we got DM-2. Like, what? Why couldn't it have been Crew Dragon 1 or Commercial Crew 1? Why did it have to be DM-2? I don't understand.
It's on. But yeah, Apollo Soyuz was July 75. So I was 1 year off on that one.
Well, good job. I was probably a little bit further off. I don't even recall what date I gave a few minutes ago. That's how in the moment I'm living. So, it's been a while since we've had launch capability with the U.S. For those viewers who don't know, DJ, how did we previously get to space? Because there are U.S. astronauts on station right now. How did we do that? Did we get a ladder?
Yes, we had a space ladder, and they just had to catch it as it went by about 27,000 kilometers an hour.
What's the G load on that? 0 to 26,000 miles an hour, 1 kilometers an hour.
No, but I think they started actual construction on space station in like 98 or something like that. But from then till 2011, it was space shuttle for all American astronauts. I think except for during the times when they had shut down the program for a while because of the crashes or the loss.
Yep.
But now it's been Soyuz ever since. So 9 years of Soyuz. Not too much longer until
the first Soyuz mission was.
Ooh,
I'm looking this up now.
Well, they used Soyuz in during Apollo. So
1966. I believe we're on Block 2 of Soyuz, which is
Well, see, they finally actually upgraded the human flight Soyuz to digital instead of just analog.
Yeah, I think that happened in the mid 2000s or something.
No,
it's like,
no.
Recently?
It's fairly recently. Like some of the flight control of Soyuz was still analog in some aspects. Because the Soyuz pad can rotate, and they would rotate it for
the azimuth.
Yeah, so they would rotate it on that.
I remember the big boy word. Let the internet remember this. The azimuth.
But recently, like within the past year, because I think it was a few months ago, but It was first time they had been using it on like non-crewed flights, but they hadn't done it for a crewed flight yet. So it fairly recently for crewed.
Soyuz has had quite the life, and you know, it's not my favorite spacecraft. It has served its purpose as being a historic spacecraft and keeping us on station, but it's kind of old and it's small. You see those pictures with the astronauts coming back?
It's pretty cramped.
Like packed in there. Like, if you think of what a sardine can would look like, and then you overlay that into a spacecraft with cargo, they're just astronauts with cargo just packed around them. I'm like, oh my goodness. So hopefully Crew Dragon will have a little bit more space.
Fingers crossed. When in reality, we know it has a lot more space, especially since it's a 7-person capable vehicle, and they're only putting 4 seats in it right now. So
that's true, but
got a lot extra
they're not putting a coffee maker in it. And I've heard that one of our astronauts, I don't remember if it was it Doug or Bob? I can't remember. One of them was kind of complaining a little bit that there wasn't a coffee maker on board. I was like, yeah, hot water would be nice, but you guys only have to survive for 18 hours, and I think you'll figure it out. Also, I'm super jealous, so I don't have any sympathy.
You get to ride on a rocket. I get to watch the rocket.
With my coffee. Okay, so Space Shuttle ended in 2001, July something of 2011.
No, 2011.
Sorry, 2001. Yeah, 2011. I'm getting old now. At this point, I now remember things. For most of space history, whenever we're talking about, Apollo or,
it's like decades
Voyager,
and decades before we were even born.
Okay, yeah, back in the 70s or 1966 or 1981. Yeah, okay, cool. But no, now we're talking about things that I remember. I don't remember watching the last STS-135 mission, but I definitely remember being a little bit sad that we were losing the space shuttle and thinking, why? The space shuttle is the perfect spacecraft. Little did I know.
Yeah.
Space shuttle was not. So let's dive into that a little bit. Why commercial crew? Because all before, this is going to be the first crewed private orbital launch, and before it's always been governmental, right? We've had all of the Russian spacecraft, all of the Chinese spacecraft, all of the U.S. spacecraft. ESA didn't have a launcher, did they? And neither did JAXA.
No, so I don't think either of them has launched
rockets,
human.
But they don't have human rated spacecraft. But why? Why was the space shuttle so terrible? It was so many millions of dollars just in refurbishment after each flight. And that was just the refurbishment. That wasn't more launch costs. $2 billion. $2 billion per launch.
Probably up in the B's, definitely. But I mean, compared to just what NASA gave SpaceX for commercial crew, let's see. I don't have that up on right now. Let's see. It's like they've saved on an estimate of $20 to $30 billion. Yeah. So
wow.
It's like going from first class down to riding on a chain behind the plane in cost. It's ridiculous.
Good description. Yeah. What caused the space shuttle to be so expensive though? Because the promise of the space shuttle in the 70s and 80s was reusability. I've read stuff and watched videos where they're like, we're going to have launches, every other week. We're going to be there 50 launches in a year. We're going to have a bunch of space stations and a bunch of moon explorations, all because of the shuttle and its reusability.
And then they made those tiles. It was like hundreds of thousands of man hours just to inspect those tiles.
That was a good idea. What?
I don't know. I know at the time they probably could not have come up with anything better than the tiles, but really those things were so fragile. You could touch it the wrong way and they'll break.
They're more fragile than styrofoam.
Yeah. And you're putting that on a rocket to send people to space where it heats up so much. Like, yes, it dissipated heat really well. I mean, have you seen the videos where they put them in a furnace and then people touch them?
I've seen those.
Like that. That is cool. Very, very impressive. But you're getting to the point where like hundreds of thousands of man hours just to inspect them, because each and every single one of them had to be. So reusability went out the window on that for sure. I mean, yeah, the spacecraft was reusable, but the amount of time that it took was definitely not.
Yeah. It was also the RS-25s were not all that reusable because they used hydrogen, which has its argument for being a good rocket fuel.
Very high specific impulse.
Exactly. But it's very difficult to design. Oh, man. It's not a dual flow combustion engine? I need to rewatch that every astronaut video.
Well, that wasn't a full flow.
No, I know it wasn't a full flow, but it was a
gas combustion cycle.
Dual gas and
gas generator cycle. There you go.
Yeah, but it was a closed loop though, right? Because both the hydrogen and the
I don't think so.
Were refed through. It wasn't?
I don't think so.
Anywho,
either way,
I just remember the sealing system. I did a little bit of digging on YouTube about the sealing system, the complexities that they had to use to make sure that the hydrogen wasn't leaking. And hydrogen is really hard to contain. Like, I didn't really realize this, but in such small, low tolerance parts, you have to be extra precise, and they just weren't reusable. Like, sure, reusability is, kind of up to your definition of it. They were
refurbishable. They weren't reusable.
Exactly. Yeah, refurbishable. That's a much better term there.
Of course, then if you want to take that term, SpaceX rockets are refurbishable, not reusable at this point. But, I mean, weeks
instead of months.
12 one way, half dozen other. Or no, 6 one way, half dozen other. Wow, I messed that up.
That's true, and they have more than 2 orbiters there are only 2 orbiters at a time at any point. So they have some options. So the space shuttle obviously had the Challenger disaster, and that kind of stopped the go fever that was happening at NASA. After that, they basically just didn't change anything with the rocket itself, besides adding the 3rd O-ring on the solid rocket booster. I would argue that the space shuttle was flawed to begin with, but that's kind of a different conversation.
It was definitely flawed at the start, but at the time we were coming off of Apollo, Soyuz, Apollo, and the last Apollo flight was the Apollo Soyuz. And then I can't remember how many years there was in between. It was like, well, we just said, so 75 and 81. So 6 years of no flight. And then that was the first flight back up. And it looks great. It's what everybody thinks of when they think of a rocket, basically at this point. But I mean, it was 70s era design. So. And for the fact that it flew that long, though, it flew for a long time.
That's what I was about to bring up. I kind of went down another rabbit hole on YouTube the other day, and I watched uncut launches from inside the cabin of STS-1 and then STS-135. So the very first shuttle launch and the very last shuttle launch. And the inside of the cabin looked equally dated in both of those.
Yep.
Like, if you would have told me to pick which footage was from which mission, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out, because
maybe the quality of the camera,
using like crappy CT cathode
CRT
CRT TVs, whatever,
cathode ray tubes.
Thank you. As like the monitors in 2011, and I'm just like, seriously? And I understand they're trying to keep costs down by not changing too much. If they did like a Shuttle 2.0, that would have not been good on the cost side. But
maybe if they would have found something other than those silica tiles, it could have been. But
I think that was more money. The problem was the aluminum. The core problem was the aluminum airframe, and probably the payload size too, because the DoD was like, "Hey, we'll pay for some of your spacecraft if you make it bigger."
And then it only ever got used to full capacity for Hubble, and that was it.
Yeah, I think they did a couple classified missions, and once they got the what was that, the science module or whatever they stuck in the back? Like, that made a little bit more sense.
Something like that, yeah.
You're basically carrying up a small space station every time, which made zero sense. Yeah, so we got old technology combined with very fragile airframe. I think that's why the shuttle was so kind of non-refurbishable, was because of the aluminum airframe.
Yeah.
They didn't, if they had a stainless steel airframe, Starship, if they had a more durable airframe, then they wouldn't have had to use the tiles, and they wouldn't have had to use relied on the tiles so heavily. I guess what I'm trying to say, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but the tiles were a single point of failure. Like, if one of the tiles failed on a critical spot on the airframe,
yeah,
loss of mission, loss of vehicle.
I can't remember which mission it was, but there was a problem with one of the tiles towards the nose, and they were lucky because I think it was like ice form or something like that had kept it from actually.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. It's not the I don't remember the name either, but it was the delta on the wing, kind of where it swoops.
Yeah.
Right there during launch, a piece of ice knocked off of the.
Oh no! That was a different one that I'm talking about.
Oh,
that was something that was an issue with one of the tiles. There was somewhere towards the nose, but it landed fine, and I can't remember what happened. That it was actually stabilized, but yeah, you're thinking of the one it was the second disaster that it came off and hit the wing and then messed the wing up.
Yeah, but from what I remember, it messed up the wing on a piece of airframe that had stainless steel underneath it, and it survived reentry only because that was stainless steel right there. If it had missed by a couple inches or feet or whatever, it would have, been a lot worse.
Okay, it might have been that one.
Anyway,
I don't know.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
The point is proven no matter what.
Either way,
the Space Shuttle
it's
had
not
a very fragile everything.
It was not the best of designs.
Yeah. But
luckily,
part of the problem. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was about to segue. Never mind. You can continue.
Part of the problem was the political capital required to create a whole new program from a governmental perspective is really high, and it has to be longer than 4 or 8 years, which is the American political cycle. And so the space shuttle, kind of just like SLS, had to be designed in a way that couldn't be stopped once it started, which is good because we did end up getting a space shuttle. It wasn't canceled by one of the next administrations, but it couldn't be changed really very much. And
everything got locked into the States, and once you get jobs, you don't want to change them. So
no, that's why we have decentralized manufacturing all over the country. I'm still scratching my head at that one. That was some finance guy in NASA in the 1960s. Like, well, I'm pretty sure if we got all of the states had a small piece of the space program, then we would get a lot more funding, even though that's not efficient in any way, shape, or form.
It's still like 0.5% of the actual budget.
Yeah. Let me tell you, folks, if you're worried about the government spending, it's not the space program that's weighing us down.
Yeah. We could spare to put a few more towards it.
We could. I'd love to see NASA's budget grown, and which is what's happened, and it's kind of exciting to see, with Artemis and the future plans. But anyway, we're talking about Space Shuttle still. So the Space Shuttle was a dinosaur flying in 2011, and then it got canceled. It's a sad day.
And lo and behold, now we have Dragon. If this gets uploaded on the day that is planned, should be tomorrow.
It should be tomorrow. That is the hope. If Nick does everything correctly and doesn't forget, it will be uploaded on Tuesday. You're listening to this on Tuesday. If you're just listening to this, and I guess you don't have to listen to it on the day it came out. So it could be any number of days later. But there's supposed to be a launch on May 27th at what time?
Let's see.
4:33 Eastern time, 4:33 and 31 seconds p.m. Eastern time. So late afternoon in the U.S. And this will be the very first launch of a crewed Falcon 9 with people on board, I guess. Like, it's Crew Dragon
Yeah.
with people on board. This is crazy. So, in 2011, it was canceled. The Space Shuttle program was canceled. The last flight flew... it probably wasn't canceled in 2011. Someone on the internet correct me. But the last flight was in 2011. And that was kind of the end of the shuttle program. And then we had to buy seats from the Russians and the Soyuz.
60 million a seat.
Yeah, 60 million a seat. My gosh. Jeez. And we just bought another one the other day. And I was just like,
yeah.
Guys,
they're going to have a few backups. They're going to probably still continue to buy backup seats at some point. But
I get that. But that's like buying an old smartphone in the current year. And it's just like, guys, the future is already here. Why are you wasting time? And I get it, risk diversification. But as a space fan, I want to see SpaceX succeed. So, yeah, 2011 it was canceled, and then SpaceX won a contract for the Crew Dragon, or the crewed commercial crew contract in 2014, and that's when things kind of got rolling. When was SpaceX's first successful orbital flight? Was that 2008?
Oh,
with the Falcon 1.
Yeah, that was 2008 for Falcon 1 or 2009, one of the two. I think it was late 2008.
Let's see what the internet says. September 28th, 2008 was the Falcon 1 mission 4.
Yeah, when they scrounged up parts and money just to get up off the ground.
Good old Elon. I love the guy. He had a choice to make. He had a bunch of money. He's like, I have two really cool companies. What am I going to do with this? Am I going to spend it all in one place or the other place? No, I'm going to spend it in both and risk everything. Just like,
let's split it and cross our fingers.
Exactly. And it paid off because
big time. They
won more and more contracts with the Falcon 9. What was the Falcon 9's first launch? 2012?
Somewhere around then, I think.
See,
or 13
this
maybe.
Is the thing though. I don't remember Falcon 9 in development like I do right now because I wasn't really following
I didn't really notice until probably around 2014, right around when they unveiled, like a little bit before they unveiled Crew Dragon for the first time.
I searched Falcon 9 first launch and it's only coming up with DM-2 results. It's like, guys, come on. Some people don't want the headlines. When was the first launch? I don't know. We're gonna move past that because at some point the Falcon 9 became successful, and at some point they started winning more contracts from private companies sending up satellites for communications or weather or whatever. They won governmental contracts, and they were getting some credibility in the space world as someone that could deliver craft reliably to orbit. Maybe not return their launch vehicle yet, but yeah. So they won this contract in 2014, which is kind of the first time I ever remember hearing about SpaceX. Again, I wasn't super into space. I was kind of young at the time and didn't really know what it was all about. But I do remember, like, oh, a private company is going to be taking us to space in the future? That's cool. Like, okay, maybe I can grieve the space shuttle and be done with it and then move on to something that's a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, because that was still a little sore spot in 14 because it was only 3 years after cancellation.
I know.
So
I missed the shuttle. That's big orange tank. The first few missions where they painted the tank white, it just looks so weird. I'm really glad they stuck
or
with
at least looking at it from our
color.
perspective, where everything is basically been an old orange tank.
Exactly. Yeah. I wonder what our future generations will think. It's not shiny like our Starship. It needs to be shiny. Yeah. Well, so they won that contract, and Elon introduced the Crew Dragon capsule as like a prototype development mock-up thing.
That chrome monstrosity on the inside.
Yeah. Not finished at all.
If you haven't seen that, you need to go look at it then versus now.
I've seen it. I don't recall it. It doesn't stand out in my memory. I remember seeing pictures from that event, but I'll look it up while you talk.
But yeah, so they unveiled it in May of 2014. So Commercial Crew had been in the works for a few years at this point. They had gotten the research contracts, and then they unveiled it in May 2014 and were awarded the contract after showing it off and having the public debut of it in September of 2014. So they had just a few months in between showing it off to the public and officially being awarded the contract. And now it's been 6 years, or almost 6 years at this point since. But we're finally getting a launch.
I would agree with you. That looks very basic and disgusting inside. If you haven't seen it, maybe I'll throw a picture up on the screen if I remember in post. But yeah, that's just basically a hollowed out tin can that has some seats in it. And
it might look that same way under all the decorative stuff on the inside now, but
oh, I imagine it would. But they have to have insulation and wiring and conduits and systems and stuff. I mean, I'm sure that
bottom line, it looks a whole lot better.
Like. Yes, looks all futuristic. So they started development in this probably before 2014, probably 2012, something like that. In the back of Elon's mind, probably woke up one evening, had some indigestion, and was just like, "My goodness, I need to make a Crew Dragon. That's what we need to do."
Where's the nearest napkin?
Exactly. I wonder what they do with Elon's napkin ideas, because they have to be real big. Like, there's no way he's
that's a
just,
big
like,
napkin
doodling. No, like, he's just like, napkin idea. Oh, solve world hunger. Just napkin idea. Oh,
And then just looking at it brings back all the information that he thought of at that point. It's like,
exactly.
He's officially a cyborg.
Not yet. With Neuralink, maybe. Yeah, so it's been in development for years and years and years and years, and it really didn't become super in the public eye until, what, 2019?
Yeah, the Demo 1 mission in 2019. So mid-January 2019 when they had Demo 1, then they had Ripley.
Was the little
ball, Earth ball. Yeah, Ripley and the Earth.
Wow.
It's been just a little over a year. Ago. Yeah, it's just barely been over a year almost.
2 years ago. My goodness. How things have changed. I believe I'm officially living in Elon time at this point, because time doesn't make any sense anymore. Maybe it's just all the quarantine or something. But yeah, so they did the DM-1 mission, and that was a smashing success. Last I checked,
we thought it was going to be flying with people by the end of 2019. Until
the unscheduled disassembly that was very rapid of the Crew Dragon capsule on the test stand with their Super Draco thrusters. That is why I don't like hypergolics. Anytime I hear someone say, "Oh, it's hypergolic," I'm just like, not only does it explode on contact, it also could kill you just by sniffing it.
Yeah. But no, that was in April of that year. So we've had a long time in between that and the next test, which was the abort test. So we went from that was like, what, 8 months of nothing until January. They launched a rocket, shot the craft off the end of the rocket, and blew the rocket up
and stuff.
But that's always been going on in the back end.
Yeah,
but the parachutes finally just got
shove things out of an airplane.
Oh yeah,
they're just like, let's just see if this parachute works. Whoosh. I want to do that job. That sounds like fun.
Just hit the release button. But no, yeah, that was 8 months in between.
That's crazy. It doesn't really feel like. I guess we were kept busy with Starlink and a bunch of other stuff.
Probably, and then all the Star Hopper and all that going on around then as well.
Yeah, my goodness. SpaceX has been busy. Busy. So, last I checked, this is a brand new Falcon 9 that will be launching this. And most of the time, SpaceX launches refurbished Falcon 9s because they're cheaper.
Yeah. In the contract that they have with NASA, every crewed launch, until the contract changes, if it changes at some point, will all be brand new Block 5s. So
Not a bad idea, I guess. Get the worm back on all the missions, please. Let's just go straight to the worm.
Oh, that would be nice. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Watching him peel off the
rid of the
worm
stupid
after it gets off is gonna be sad.
It's totally gonna do like, Starlink missions or whatever, some other boring mission.
Honestly,
and, there's
I
gonna
hope
be
they
a
would
Lab
just leave
Padre
it.
stream somewhere of the guy out there with a little chisel just scraping off the paint.
Honestly, I would not be surprised if they just left it on if they were gonna do Starlink missions with it.
I wonder if NASA would be okay with that. I don't think they would. NASA would be like, here's a bucket of paint, fix that. It's just like, how they come down all like carbon scored or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just see like it's all scored like that, except for where the worm used to be. It's just like fresh white paint, but like it's just there.
Just a block
like
of white paint.
Exactly. It's like the equivalent of someone not paying for their billboard, so the billboard people turn their ad upside down or backwards or whatever. It's like,
I got you.
yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Okay, so this is a brand new Falcon 9. Do you think they're going to be reusing it? And if so, how soon will that be? Because it's kind of been a little bit of a competition to see how quickly they can reuse these.
Well, I think the average time that they're getting at this point is around 2 months in between each flight of a booster.
Yep.
If I'm remembering right.
Which was the Space Shuttle's no, the Space Shuttle's record was 14 days, right? Is that the record?
Oh
boy.
Well, you look up Space Shuttle, I'll look SpaceX.
Holds the record, but okay.
Well, this doesn't bring up very helpful things. It looks like 63 days. 63 days for SpaceX, looks like.
Okay. 54 days pre-Challenger, post-Challenger 88 days.
So
on the Space Shuttle. So the Space Shuttle still holds the record, but it's about to be beat.
Yeah, it's gonna start being within 2 weeks. I think by the end of this year, especially as many Starlink missions as they're putting up.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that they get a little bit more testing on the kind of back side of the high duration or the high usage, the old cars, the high mileage, the high mileage rockets, because with a few of them, we've lost them on return. They either missed the
they had 2 in a row that were lost.
Yeah, that's kind of. I believe it was they missed one, they made one, and they missed one again, and it was kind of like, is the limit 4.5, 5 missions per Falcon 9, or is that?
Well, I guess we'll see whenever the next Starlink goes up, because it got kicked back because of weather. So originally, the next rocket launch that SpaceX was supposed to have was supposed to be Starlink 7 or 6. I can't keep up with them now. But yeah.
Well, I'm sure people are listening to this in the future, and they're like, no, guys, Starlink 7 launched first because DM-2 got canceled by a week because Elon had the sniffles.
If that happens. But no, but that Starlink is supposed to be a 5th flight booster, and we'll see if it comes down and lands and makes it a 5th landing booster as well.
That would be exciting. And the goal is 10 with Block 5. They're supposed to, that's the goal, to get 10 reuses out of
I think there will need to be a Block 5.5 before that really happens.
I don't see. But they said that every Block 5 has been slightly different. After they kind of
like minuscule changes,
solidified
not necessarily
it for
a block change.
I'm sorry, what?
Well, yeah, it's like minuscule changes, but not like changes big enough to be called a block.
Yeah. After Block 5, it's been a lot more minuscule. But SpaceX isn't the company to wait around for improvements. So I don't know. We'll see.
But speaking of that, though, I wonder if they were locked into the same design as they had when they certified it. That is actually
I believe it is, if I remember correctly from a while ago. As soon as they started doing, I believe DM-1 was like the point where they locked the Falcon 9's design. But maybe they've had two like branches of it. I don't know.
I mean, that's something that SpaceX probably wouldn't put publicly, but that'd be interesting to find out.
Maybe they have like a version that's like exactly the same as the DM-1, and then the Block .001, which has just that much more improvement.
Little tiny changes.
Yeah. So we got this launch coming up, and it's very historic because it's launching from Pad 39A, which is the same place that we launched a lot of historic missions, like, I don't know, Apollo 11, I don't know, STS-1, I don't know, like every other noteworthy launch you can remember has been on this launch pad. And it's really exciting to see that black tower. Right,
they did that tower so well.
I used to really love the Apollo tower because it was orange and it contrasted well with the white rocket. And I didn't really like the Shuttle one because it was kind of gray and
it looked like it had something huge just hanging off the side of it, which it did, literally.
Exactly.
But
and they had to cover the top of the tank, which just really made everything look awkward. But SpaceX did a good job with their tower, and then also the what do they call that thing? The arm?
The crew access arm.
Crew access arm. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, that just looks so futuristic and ready for 2020.
I was actually kind of sad seeing them take apart the old shuttle components at first, because I was kind of worried, like, how much is it going to change it? And then whenever they put the black cladding on it, I was like, okay, never mind. Yes.
It looks better.
Looks much better.
It's very clean and minimal. Like a little bit with the Saturn V launch tower, but especially with the Space Shuttle tower, it kind of just felt like their engineers were just like adding things as they went, like pipes
basically,
and stuff. That's kind of what happened, though. But this launch tower is like very symmetrical. It all fits within the box, and it's all black, and it's color coordinated with the.
And the access arm is. I'm pretty sure the access arm is actually air conditioned as well.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
I think cool. So. I mean, it's enclosed and it's got windows. So I would kind of assume. I would assume, because I mean, imagine a Florida summer with heat and humidity just beaming down. Inside a box.
I don't feel bad for the astronauts because they have environmental controls. I do feel bad for the poor guys who has to, help them in. Yeah, so it's very, very iconic launch pad, and I don't know if you realize this is kind of news to me a couple weeks ago, but SpaceX has been using Pad 39A for years.
Yeah,
and I was kind of like, oh well, duh, that makes sense. Like they've
been using it for. Ooh, it was before the I think it was Amos 6 where it blew up on LC-41 or whatever. Yeah, they've been using it before then.
SpaceX launches that well.
Oh, well. Whenever the rocket blew up because of the composite overwrap pressure vessels, the ASEA PVEs, it lost the payload that was sitting on top of it because it was during a static fire, or right before a static fire that they lost it, and it damaged the pad there. So they've been using 39A since right before that, I believe, because I think they had just finished getting it ready for Falcon 9s not long before then. So, but that's been a few years. That was in 2016, I believe, or 2015. So
I just had never connected the dots. Like I knew 39A was the iconic one, but I didn't put the dots together that like, oh, that's what we're using right now.
Light bulb just hit you.
Exactly. So we're sending up 2 Americans to the space station, Bob and Doug. Yep. They are pretty cool people. If I had to pick 2 people to sit down and have lunch with 6 feet away, it would definitely be Bob and Doug. They are pretty cool guys.
I'm glad they're not like strange like you would think some scientists are. The different videos that you've seen from the ISS, some people are just kind of awkward. But like they're actually really engaged on Twitter and everything else in media. So
Yeah, definitely. I'll have to see if I can get them to like a tweet on station. That would be pretty cool.
that if they even have time to think about Twitter at that point.
Oh, I would always make time for Twitter if I was an astronaut. Come on. Where else are you going to get all of the biased opinions? So Bob and Doug are fighter pilots and kind of test pilots, I guess, not specifically fighter pilots.
I can't remember which one it was, but
Bob is Air Force, and I don't remember what service branch Doug is from, but they're both test pilots.
One of them was the last commander of the STS-135. Doug? Yeah, Doug was.
Yeah, Doug was the commander of STS-135, which is kind of cool. Like if you
Yeah, he was the last one out and now one of the first ones back up. So
it's bookended very well, but you look at the difference between July 8th, 2011 and
May 27th,
2020 ish. We recorded this early, guys.
Hopefully.
It's like there's been so much change, but yet we're still with the same astronaut group. Like there has been a whole new class, but the previous class is still around.
Yeah, they were
up for a mission.
These are some of the last of the previous class. Yep. These and the ones that have been going up on station the past few years.
Yep.
But the new class got assigned their SpaceX launches. So I mean, of course that was like probably a year ago at this point that they assigned who was going to be flying on Boeing, who was going to be flying on SpaceX.
I do remember that. That was like a little press event with Jim Bridenstine going to the SpaceX and plant in Hawthorne.
No, I don't think it was that. That was they had that at a NASA site. Yeah. Johnson Space Center, I'm pretty sure is where they had it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like they had that was originally when they had only 2 for Crew 1, not Demo 1, but Crew 1, the first actual operational quote unquote Dragon flight, not a test flight like Demo 2 is, but they moved it they bumped it up from just 2 to 3 people on the first Crew 1. So
I don't see why they don't send up more people. Like I guess it's maybe a scheduling issue on the ISS having supplies and stuff, but
probably.
If you have the seats, why don't you just fill them up?
I eventually think they're going to be filling it up as much as they can as time goes on.
Last I checked, there are 2 free seats in DM-2. Do you want to make a run for it?
How fast can we run across that pad and not get caught?
Would they notice the weight difference, though? They'd be like, looking like we're overweight. Did you guys have a big breakfast, Bob and Doug? Like, yeah, okay.
Did you bring that coffee maker?
Yeah. So exciting times. I'm thrilled to be living these times.
Yep. I can't remember if we talked about it on the
DM-2.
I can't remember if we talked about it on the last one or not. But instead of riding in one of those Airstreams like they used to, like they got their own NASA Model X.
I saw that. Ah, yes, the Model X. I kind of miss the Airstream. I'm not gonna lie. There's an iconic part to it that everyone since Apollo has used the Airstream. Truck, van, wagon. I don't really know. Kind of.
Well, at least it's not Boeing using like a Ford Transit or something like that they're using. Have you seen that one?
No, just no. I saw a picture the other day of SpaceX, and it was Elon and the crew were standing up looking at the rocket before its static fire, and in the background there was a Ford F-150 with a SpaceX logo on the door, and I was just like, Elon saw that and was like, I need to get Cybertruck out quicker.
Yeah. Well, and as soon as Cybertruck gets out, they're probably swapping over to Cybertruck to carry them over. I mean,
totally.
Stainless steel Airstream.
Elon should have just brought the prototype.
Actually, totally. I've been having this thought. Honestly, I would not be completely surprised if they rolled out of wherever they're having the garage and it turns out being the Cybertruck. I would honestly not be surprised. Although they probably have vetted everything for how do you get out of the car with the pack and all of that. They've probably been through it 20 times. But if they rolled out of the garage or the VAB or wherever they're coming out of for the Model X, I would not be surprised if they came out in the Cybertruck instead.
That would be pretty epic. And then Elon could forever say, my prototype, which is also the only Cybertruck ever on the roads at this point, was the one that carried the crew for DM-2.
Yeah. But as soon as they get those out in production, you know that they're going to change over to those for that.
I hadn't even thought of that. That's made me even more excited to get a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Not only is it the coolest looking car, it's also the one that, the astronauts use.
And it's cheaper than a Model X.
Yeah. So they also, you had mentioned Gulfstream, and when you first said that, I was thinking of an airplane. It used to be back with the shuttle missions, the crew would all fly T-32s, T-35s, T-38s?
T-35s, I think.
T-35s, yeah.
I'm not that much into planes anymore, so I can't remember.
I'm obviously never been that into it, but I knew they all flew their own jets into Marshall Space Flight Center, wherever the Air Force Base next to. Anyway, they all flew in.
Well, Space Force Base now. No, I'm just kidding.
Space Force Base? Yeah. Air Force. Sorry. Anyway.
I don't even know if they changed that at all.
The point is, this time, Bob and Doug flew on a Gulfstream G3, which I've actually seen that plane in person. I'll have to put a little picture up on there. I was at a NASA social event in January or something, and that was in the hangar. I didn't get up close to it, but I did see it. I was like, cool.
They're spending time with their family right now in tradition at the beach house that NASA has as well.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah,
I thought
I'm pretty sure.
Quarantined.
Well, I think what they did was they probably just ended up quarantining the families as well, because it said they were spending time with the families at the beach house. So I would not be surprised if they did that. Especially it being a test flight.
Yeah.
I mean, if worse would have come to worse, it would be nice to be with your family. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it said there was
on some wood.
Yeah. Be right back.
We can't have any problems because of our superstitious podcast. We're not superstitious, but we're a little stitious.
You can't take any chances.
No, you can't. Yeah. So they flew on this Gulfstream. And did you watch the live stream of when they were flying?
I didn't go back and watch it. No.
Oh,
it's sitting in my watch later, but
it was the funniest thing I've seen in a little while. It was all queued up to be like this epic entrance with like this Gulfstream pulling in, basically doing a 180, so it was facing the right way. So when they opened the door and the steps came down, the crew could walk directly out in front of the press, and it was just all going to be nice and pretty. But when the Gulfstream was making the U-turn, its wing was so long that it almost got caught in a cable that was holding a helicopter blade down.
Oh no!
And so, thankfully, the marshals who were marshaling the jet stopped the plane before it hit the wire. But it just sat there for like 3 minutes while they undid the wire.
Oh my god!
Moving stuff around, and it was like the most embarrassing thing ever. Because
that's so sad.
The plan was for it to be like all epic, and and it was just an embarrassment. And it's like Elon Musk's totally relates with this because he had a Cybertruck incident on stage once. And I'm sure those pilots are sitting there completely embarrassed looking at the hundreds of press people taking pictures as they have to move a wire to move the airplane forward.
Now, other than that, was the conference any good? Is it worth a watch?
Other than that, the astronauts repeated the exact same stump speech that they've basically given 50 times now. And the press asked the same 6 questions that they've asked for 50 days now. And,
so basically watch the first 5 minutes and then I can do away.
Yeah, basically just watch the first 5 minutes. And then Jim gets up and's like, returning to space with American rockets, with American crew, from American soil. And then the astronauts get up there and they say, returning to Americans to space on American rockets from American soil. And it's just like, okay.
I used to like that chant right there, but it's, oh my gosh, as many times as I've heard it, watching everything that they come out with. Oh, Jim, we get it.
It'll be over soon. It'll be. I can't wait to have something be precedented. I saw a tweet about that a couple days ago. Like, we live in unprecedented times. I miss the precedented time. I can't wait till we're done with Demo 2 and we can just have Crew Dragon launch 1. And what's it called? What's the actual moniker?
Crew 1.
Crew 1? Just Crew 1?
Yeah, I think it's Crew 1.
Crew 1.
Or let's see. Oh, you're talking about like the letters, just the letter thing.
Yeah, it's like CR1 or something, right?
CRS is commercial resupply, so
just CR1.
Or CC, commercial crew. CC1 maybe.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, that moniker is a little less exciting.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something and then I forgot about it. So moving on. Flew over my head at 17,500 miles an hour.
Woo!
Yeah.
It's like trying to catch that space ladder.
Oh. Don't worry, you're only pulling 90 Gs when that happens. That's all. Did you see that Virgin Orbit is going to be launching over the weekend here? So again, we're recording this on Thursday, the 21st, and there's supposed to be another orbital launch on the 24th or 25th, another test flight. Have you seen that? Yeah,
I saw the news on that. Hopefully it launches on the 24th because that could actually be a birthday present. But yeah, I've not been very much into the air launch systems because you don't gain that much just from launching from a plane. Because one, you got to have a whole lot less weight to be able to fly the plane. Then you're only getting about 30,000 feet advantage. Yeah. But I mean, from the stuff that I've seen, it looks pretty promising. I think it's gonna be able to carry more than Rocket Lab if it actually goes up as planned.
Think twice as much as Rocket Lab.
Yeah. But then again, Rocket Lab is launching small sats, CubeSats. So.
Yep.
But yeah, if they can get it up and going, and it can be another sustainable way, even if the rockets aren't reusable, it's still a whole lot cheaper than a 90-meter tall rocket.
70 meter, 229 feet.
Okay, yeah.
I'm looking at it.
Oh, okay.
Your counter should have been, I'm talking about some other obscure rocket. The Atlas 3. Okay.
But basically, yeah, if it can get up and it can be reliable, that could be a really, really good rocket to send up smaller payloads and possibly, I saw where it said it might even have a third stage at some point for interplanetary missions. Yeah.
It does. So, it'll have to be a CubeSat to Mars, which seems a little pointless. But
no, not a CubeSat. Wow, I just lost the name of the thing. Greenhouse. Cool. There you go.
A Greenhouse
to Mars. Okay. Elon's original plan.
Elon's original dream coming back around. But yeah, I'm not sure what a CubeSat would do in interplanetary orbit. But I'm kind of most excited about this Virgin Orbit thing. The air launch system is just kind of fascinating how flexible it is. You can launch from anywhere as long as you're launching over like not a populated area. So basically over in the ocean with proper notice. So you can get any azimuth, any
inclination,
any orbital inclination, anything you want, really.
Yeah, because they're doing a polar orbit for this first test because they're of course launching out from California, but they could go from anywhere they wanted to. They just fly it and then fuel it up there.
They had enough delta V. They could totally do like fun retrograde orbits and like they could do a bunch of fun stuff with that. Just having like a mobile launch platform, kind of in ways that we haven't seen in really ever.
Yeah.
Besides maybe the X-15, if you consider that a spacecraft, which
I mean, it went to space, but
kind of it's at the very bottom of the spacecraft list.
I mean, it skipped off the atmosphere. What other planes can say it did that?
Sputnik is more of a spacecraft than
yeah.
than
It's
the
okay. It's not
X-15,
orbital, but it was a spacecraft. Let's say that.
Yeah, and the guy who skydove from weather balloon is also an astronaut. If you use the Kármán line as a delineation, but yeah. So they're sending up this. Do you know what actually the payload is going to be? I actually don't know.
No, I didn't see anything about what the mass simulator would be.
Mass simulator is
probably just a block of concrete. Unless Richard Branson decides to do something and
I know.
Post it on Twitter.
Okay, Elon did his Tesla. What does Richard Branson also sell? What does he do?
Phones.
I know Virgin airplanes.
Virgin
what else
Mobile.
does he do? Virgin Mobile. Yeah, the MVNO carrier that has 6 towers. Yeah, Virgin Mobile. Let's go with that. What other things does Richard Branson own?
A good many. I don't know. I don't know what they would put up there other than just a block of concrete for them.
So boring. Whenever someone sends up just a block of concrete, like, guys, you have an opportunity to send something maybe to orbit. You just
do an advertisement in space. Charge somebody for it.
Exactly.
Pay for the launch
Pepsi
itself
from the 80s. Exactly, right? Launch me. I don't need anything. It'll be a one-way trip, but
give me a spacesuit and a parachute. Let's go.
And a fire extinguisher, because I'm pretty sure in every movie I've ever seen, fire extinguishers are equal to RCS thrusters.
Yeah, absolutely they are.
Exact same thing. Zero difference. Yeah, I'm not seeing like.
It's probably just a block of concrete. Yeah.
I don't know. There has to be something more. Like, remember?
Okay, a block of metal.
When Falcon Heavy busted those fairing halves and like
I was in class 10 minutes before that happened. I hopped on my boosted board so fast and I got out of there. I made it in like probably across campus. A walk normally takes like 10 minutes. Riding my boosted normal speeds at that time, or for how long that was probably about 5 minutes because I didn't want to wreck or anything. I gunned that sucker. I got back in less than half of that. It was sketchy. But I made it like 5-6 minutes to spare before the launch, and I had Tim's stream up and going. I had somebody else's stream up and going. I had SpaceX's stream going. It's like TV, computer.
Ready for this? What's a computer? They have to send something up though. Like, why just a block of concrete, people? Like, that's the most boring thing. Like, I couldn't think of a more boring thing. Like, send a Christmas tree or something. I don't know. Like, something random. Send a piano. I don't care. It's just not concrete, guys.
Virgin Orbit presents Piano from Space.
It'll play something in a vacuum. Then everyone will listen to it.
It's like it's a MIDI grand piano just sitting up there. You can see the keys moving.
Yeah, there you go. Just yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they can actually do on a regular basis, though. I actually did not know. Yeah, I actually did not know that 747s were designed to carry an engine, though. Like where it's mounted, it's designed to carry an extra engine, and I did not realize that. Of course, that rocket's a whole lot heavier than that engine, but it was still designed to carry something there, which is something I did not know about a 747, which is something cool.
Yeah, it's a little known feature, and I did know about it because that's where General Electric does their testing mounts for new engines, which is one of the reasons why the 747 can never go away, because we have to have a testing mount for new engines somewhere.
Now that you say that, I think I actually remember seeing something about that a long time ago. But yeah, it's going to be cool. Yeah. The more people that we got going to space, the better space is going to be. So,
and also the prices will go down, which is also half the reason why people can't go to space, because I couldn't afford it, but one day with Starship. Elon, please.
If you could
I'm
take $1
kinda
million
surprised, though.
trip around the moon, would you?
That would obviously be predicated on the fact that I had $1 million, which I won't anytime soon. But maybe at the point where you can buy a trip around the moon for $1 million, yeah. And I'd probably be halfway around the moon, and I'd be like, I should have taken out another loan and gone to the moon. What was I thinking? It's like Apollo 10ing it. You can't do that. I feel so bad for the crew of Apollo 10. Could you imagine, like, 50,000 feet?
Or maybe just even Apollo 13, because like
Oh,
they were completely they knew they were going.
Yeah.
And then all that happened.
Sad.
But yeah.
Only that guy
But speaking about going around the
drop
moon, I wonder if Dear Moon is still actually going to be going. Because I haven't heard anything about that in a long time.
I think that Japanese billionaire guy's still funding it. I mean, he kind of already paid for it, right?
Yeah, and then he ended up selling one of his other companies, and then he tried to do some kind of dating thing, and that didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work. I'm glad that didn't work.
That was so awkward hearing that.
Good idea? Yeah. Date a millionaire in space. Sorry, billionaire in space. Okay.
I'll go.
I'll go.
But yeah, I'm really curious to see what goes around the moon first.
Yeah, I would imagine it's gonna be a Crew Dragon. I think, like, if you think of anything that could do it right now, it's Crew Dragon, or within the next foreseeable future, before Starship, I guess.
But I don't even think they would.
I don't see Orion getting off the ground anytime soon. I mean, it might get off the ground, but it's not gonna be
crewed
into a TLI at any point. Yeah.
Well, I think Exploration 1, which is uncrewed, goes around the moon first. I'm pretty sure.
What is that? Exploration 1.
That's the first SLS that goes to the moon, I'm pretty sure. Like, around it and testing it. Pretty sure.
SLS. Don't get me started on SLS. They say they have a complete rocket, but yet it's not going to be done until next year. I'm just like, step by step ferociously, guys. Come on. No step by step.
I think they actually beat Blue Origin when they mean step by step.
Just one step.
2 steps forward, 1 step back, and then another step.
Yeah.
Then another step, and then maybe they'll take a few forward.
This Virgin Orbit thing kind of snuck up on me, just like, I'm sure at some point. My gosh, Blue what? Oh my gosh.
Blue Origin.
Blue Origin. I almost said Blue Orbit, and I'm like, that's not right. I'm getting them all mixed up now. Anyway, just like Blue Origin will sneak up on us one day, and it'll just be like, hey guys, we're going to be having our first manned flight next weekend. Hope you can join in. And it's just going to be like, what? Where like SpaceX has been this multi-year process. Yeah, that's going to be a fun day when we have 2 private space companies ferrying people to the ISS. That will be.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's going to be a good bit away, because which one? I think it's New Glenn that comes next on their development plan.
It's just suborbital.
Well, right now it's just suborbital, but New Glenn is the one that's actually going to be big.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, New Glenn, not New Shepard.
Yeah, not New Shepard. It's New Glenn, New Shepard, and then New Armstrong, I believe. I mean, no, New Shepard, New Glenn.
Gee, I wonder where the third one is going.
I wonder.
See, the sad thing with their naming convention, though, is when they finally go to Mars, if they're going to be the first one to Mars, what are they going to name it? Blue Musk?
Bezos would have a cow if anyone ever proposed that. It's like the meme of the dude getting thrown out the window of the building.
Yes.
Oh.
We need ideas for this new. Well, Elon was the first guy on Mars.
Oh, that would be a meeting to sit on, be a fly on the wall in.
Yeah, it would be. Who do you think is gonna make it to Mars first?
At rocket wise, because I mean, if we're talking people wise, it's gonna be
humans to Mars first. Humans to Mars first. Do you think it's gonna be like a big governmental conglomerate or a private company or what?
I think it's gonna be government because I mean, that's gonna take a lot of money, and even though people like SpaceX or Blue Origin have a lot of money, it's a whole different venture when you're thinking about that. Because for one, they would also have to bounce off of any telecommunications that they have in between here and there, and they have to have the astronaut training. So it's definitely going to be NASA. NASA is going to be there first, unless China comes up from out of nowhere and then just says, "Hey, we're already here."
It might happen.
Now, rocket wise, it's probably going to be SpaceX first rocket there.
Well, I mean, Percy's going to be there soon. I mean, we got some other stuff going, but
first crew capable rocket. Let's say that.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it would be SpaceX. I can't think of anyone else. I'm just going through the roster here. Like, the thing is,
because I mean, have we even seen anything proposed for Mars?
I mean, besides stuff that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie, no. And I'm sure some people would argue, Starship looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie. Nick, what are you talking about?
Yes, it does look like it, and we're proud of that.
Do we have 4 of them built already?
Hey, more than that. SN6 is being worked on. SN5 is about to be stacked. So,
gotta love that. All right. Well, I don't want to get too much into news because if this is going to be a weekly thing, we're going to have to stretch the news out. We're over our hour, which is what I was worried about. Any closing thoughts, GJ?
Keep your fingers crossed for Wednesday, and let's hope. Okay, you're going all extra on that one.
I'm crossing my toes right now. You can't see, but
and fingers crossed for Virgin Orbit too. Let's hope that actually goes up well. So
absolutely, I'd really be excited to see that. I love
that on Sunday and SpaceX on Wednesday, and coffee on the space station on Thursday.
Did Starlink get rescheduled to when was that?
Yeah, I think it's got a reschedule time. Let's see.
I'm opening up Rocket Pocket, which is the coolest app. Everyone should go get it. Starlink 7 is May 31st.
It's not on. Yeah, so I didn't see it on this one. So
9 days and 22 hours, 10 minutes, and 10 seconds on my mark. Which actually doesn't make any sense because everyone else is.
Everybody's been watching this after.
Sometime less than that.
You got only a few days. 27, 31. What's that, 4?
Yep.
Oh, that's going to be exciting. When was the last time that we had close launches like that?
My goodness.
They're probably going to have to go up from LC-41 for Starlink if they're launching from 39A that close.
I think they can do it. I mean, they just have to move the strong back down and then back into the shed and mount it onto the.
Well, I'm more or less thinking of pad refurbishment because it does take a little bit of work on the pad every time. But
it's Starlink. It's not that important of a payload. Maybe SpaceX will be like, let's see how reusable we can make the pad this time and just not refurbish it.
Hey, as long as it doesn't mess up that beautiful launch tower, we're good.
That's true. If there's any scoring on that tower, like, we just need to clean it all. I will get out there with a scrubber and clean it. All right. Well, hopefully everyone listening to this is enjoying the DM-2 mission, which is a lot closer to you than it is for us right now, which I am jealous of. But at the time you're listening to this, it will be the exact same amount of time away from the DM-2 mission for me. So I guess I can't complain. See you guys later, and I still need to come up with a good outro. Bye.